Hi, I'm Sarah J. Stevens. I want to tell you a story. Back when I was about 14 or 15, I was excited in school, came home, and there was a school trip that I wanted to go on. And my parents were divorced at the time, so I came home and I asked my mom, hey mom, I really want to go on this trip. And she said, okay, well, how much does it cost? And I told her, and I don't remember exactly how much it was, but she said, Sarah, I don't have the money for that. Maybe you should ask your dad. So if you have divorced parents, you know when you got to ask the other parent, it doesn't always turn out better than the original parent you've asked. So I went to my dad's on Saturday, and I said to him, hey dad, there's this great opportunity, I want to go on this school trip. And he said, sorry, I don't have the money, and you can't go on the trip. And I had this awful feeling in the pit of my stomach, because honestly, it was probably about $100, but I didn't feel in control, and it just left me feeling not so great about myself. So it was another weekend that I was at my dad's, and I had $1.50. And normally on a Saturday at my dad's, I'd just go to the Max Milk, spend it on a bag of barbecue chips and a chocolate bar or something, right? Literally. But that Saturday, because of what had happened with this trip, I had heard that comic books, you could buy them and then they'd be worth something down the road. So I went to Beaver Comics, actually in Barrie. I don't think it's open anymore, but I went to Beaver Comics and I found myself a #1 Wolverine comic, and I bought it. And I was at the comic shop in Orillia with my son 2 weeks ago. You know how much that comic book is worth? It's worth $100. 66 times what I paid for it. Now, because I teach economics, if I had invested that $1.50 at, let's say, an 8% return and the money doubles every 9 years or so, that $1.50 would have grown to $3, to $6, to $12. And just for a measure of being conservative, maybe say it was worth $24. But instead, I'd made an investment of $1.50 that's now worth $100. I never read that comic book. It's still in the plastic sleeve, okay? I really purchased it as an investment. So fast forward a few years later, and I had my phys ed degree, and I was doing my MBA. And I was living in a house with some friends, and my rent, if you can believe it, was $100 a month. I know, jaw-dropping. I bounced a rent check. I already had 1 degree, and I bounced a rent check for $100. That feeling came back in the pit of my stomach. It's an awful feeling when you don't have $100 for your rent. I was so embarrassed. And at that point, I decided, this is a repeat, right? I was short $100 for this trip. I can't pay my rent. I'm short $100. I decided this is not going to be my life. I'm going to change this. And so I came up with a mantra in my early 20s. And I said, I am going to be a millionaire. I am going to be a millionaire. I am going to be a millionaire. And I didn't know how I was going to be a millionaire in my lifetime. As a starving student, thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. But the first thing I did was I believed in myself. And then I took action. And you know what? It only took me 12 years to become a millionaire by the time I was 35. So I'm here today to share something with you. And it's called the Kim Factor. Killing it monthly. Kim, K-I-M. Do we have any Kims in the house? So the Kim Factor, killing it monthly in income. So after I finished my MBA, I got a job at a bank, okay? So I'll get into this Kim Factor. Got a job at the bank, and I thought, I still had that thing going in the back of my mind, I want to be a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire. But I thought, with this small salary at the bank, it's not going to happen. I have to come up with another solution. And in fact, I thought, well, maybe I could do it through some rental income. So I went to the bank, went to the branch manager, sat down with her, gave her all my info, very proud, right? I've got an MBA, I'm working at the bank. And she said to me, so I said, what do I qualify for a mortgage? She said, Sarah, you don't qualify. I thought, what? what do you mean I don't qualify? I have an MBA. I'm working at a bank, like this bank, and I can't get a mortgage? Like, seriously? So again, I was re-inspired. I need to make a change because this is not going to be my life. I need to do something. And so I was trying to think, what could I do? So I was working full-time in a bank downtown Toronto, taking the GO train 4 hours a day. People eat on the GO train, and they chat, and they sleep on the GO train. I thought, if I can do something with this GO train time, I can turn this into gold, right? So I actually got hired to teach online through another university before I worked at Georgian, okay? And I started teaching online on the GO train. And so a year later, when I went back to that branch manager, and I said, you know, this is what I've been doing. So now I have 2 incomes. She said, you qualify. I said, yes. And I went out and bought a duplex in December of 2003. And that's where things started. So now I'd gone from my bank job income, had that part-time online teaching income, and then I had 2 more incomes from those 2 tenants. So now I had doubled the different streams of income, right? So now I'm starting to feel like, hey, I'm hooked. This is killing it monthly. This is the new strategy. So then the duplex, the portfolio grew to a triplex and other duplexes and waterfront properties. And then finally one day, I cashed those in and I bought my first apartment building. And then I bought my second apartment building. And then I bought my third apartment building. And the reason that I came here today is because I'm so inspired about this. My students know that I'm passionate and I want them to succeed and excel. But I want everyone to feel empowered. You know, I want everybody to feel that they have the potential, no matter how much or how little money you have. Because I made a choice with that $1.50. And I want everyone to leave here today knowing that they have the same capability and potential. And my goal is to inspire 1 million people through a 1 million movement. And that's what I want to give back. And so I ask you here today, you know, I was able to do this. And will you take this message? And will you? Thank you.